Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tech Educator Podcast, coming to you live each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern with your hosts, Jeff Herb, John Samuelson, Sam Patterson, and Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everyone out there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Tech Educator Podcast, broadcasting to you live each and every Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. This is show number 35. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a very special topic. Today we're going to be talking all about PLNs, personal learning networks, or professional learning networks. Either way, we're going to be taking a look at what is it, how do you develop it, and what happens when you have a time of an emergency. We have two co-hosts today that can't be with us today. Sam is actually out right now playing with Legos at his school, and John is just coming back from a little vacation that he took. But never fear, we have our great instructional tech talkist. Want to bring to the show Mr. Jeff Herb. Jeff, how are you today?
Jeff, I'm doing great, but I think this show is going to focus around you and your story today. But other than that, we'll get to that in a little bit.
Well,
Things are going really well.
We have two Jeffs, no waiting, and and it's been a busy week. We of course weren't on last week, and for those of you who were watching teachercast.tv last week, you might have seen an amazing episode where the principal cast actually had a chance to interview Todd Whitaker. And we're going to be putting that up at teachercast.net/iTunes and teachercast.net/YouTube very, very quickly, because it was a really nice interview for them. But tonight, Jeff, we're talking all about PLNs. Now, what do you think of when you hear the initials PLN?
See, that's really a tough one, and I think you nailed it in your intro there. You know, it's a really good toss-up between professional and personal learning network. And, you know, when I first started getting into Twitter and getting into, you know, my own professional development, I really thought of it as professional. And the P stood for professional because I was getting on. I was really just looking for some more information to supplement my learning. But I think that really started to change with the interactions I started to have more regularly with people like yourself, with John, with Craig Yen, and all the great people out there that, you know, Lisa Dabbs. And once you start making those personal connections by either being on a Twitter chat with people or just starting to have, you know, those conversations like, hey, great post, thanks for the share, or, you know, you develop this connection. And I think it then pushes into more of a personal learning network, and you can rely on these people to help you out in times that you need it, or just to be able to jump on Twitter and say hi to them real quick when you have a free minute. So I think it starts, Jeff, as a professional learning network, and as you grow closer to these people, it becomes more personal.
I couldn't agree more with that. And, you know, if you want to reach out and become a member of our PLN, all you simply have to do is check out our website here, techeducatorpodcast.com, where you can, of course, check us out each and every week live. We have our calendar where we have all of our shows coming up here. We also have the links to us to subscribe to us on YouTube. You can, of course, watch our show here and subscribe to our various podcasts. Now, we do run the hashtag TechEducator, as we are tonight. And, of course, we're also going to be using our Chatwing chat box here on teachercast.tv. So want to say thank you one more time to everybody who's out there tonight, and kind of wanted to start off with a little story of why we didn't have a show last week, and really why we're all on this topic. And like I said to Jeff, please feel free to ask. You know, I want to ask any questions and answer any questions here, because it's been a very, very busy last 10 days. But we were down at the Teachers Convention, the NJEA Teachers Convention, where it was an amazing time. I don't know how many educators were there, but you know, you might have heard me say a couple things over the last few months about this broadcasting booth that I have, and it's an amazing opportunity for me to go out and to be at conferences, meet people, do demonstrations. The New Jersey Educators Association, forgetting what Chris Christie says, is an amazing group of educators, and they let me do almost everything I ever wanted to. They let me set it up. They let me do broadcasting. I had a chance to meet people, to broadcast with friends, with strangers. It was great. They let me use it as a mobile classroom. I actually had, Jeff, about 50 people set up in front of that booth, and they gave me a 20-foot by 20-foot space in, like, prime area. But they also gave me a 30-inch television monitor that was right next to it. And I don't have pictures of that right now, but I'll certainly put them up in the Flickr stream, which falls underneath. But I had 50 educators captivated for 2 hours learning how to do WordPress. And was showing off how TeacherCast is built and different plugins and what's a post. And it was really, really amazing to see.
That's awesome.
It's one of those all your dreams come true. I wanted to use it for broadcasting. I want to be an educator. I want to do all these different things. And to have that opportunity on a stage such as the NJEA convention in Atlantic City was amazing. And
really, that's what you've been building towards ever since I've started to get to know you. I know that that's always been your goal. So that's really cool that you had that opportunity to do it.
Absolutely. And, the neat part about it was 2 years ago, 2011, I kind of walked in brand new to TeacherCast and said, I wonder what I can do here. And I kind of grabbed my iPhone and just said, I wonder what happens when you go rogue podcasting. And I kind of went vendor to vendor and hi, here, this is who I am. And I was this little giddy person running around, and I got some interviews. I made some friends, and it's funny because people actually reference that at the show. Weren't you the guy running around Rogue last year? And I said, yeah, kind of. and I was all gearing up for last year, which was supposed to be a really big year for New Jersey educators, and then we had Hurricane Sandy.
Right.
And so this year, really, really big. Met some of the main people there.
Check out my screen, Jeff.
I'm checking it out. Exactly. And that was an amazing picture there. Just, it's a 20-foot by 20-foot wall, basically. Anybody who's watching this show and sees the TeacherCast chalkboard, I guess is what I call it, it worked out great. Now, I haven't had a chance yet to edit any of the videos, but that green wall behind me makes an amazing green screen. And so all the videos that you're going to see coming out of this are completely green screened, and it was really, really, again, dream come true, everything that I wanted to. It was amazing. 1 o'clock or so, I guess my wife, who is 25 weeks, I guess, in with the Edu triplets, decided she needed to go back to the hotel for a little bit. And the amazing part about that is that thanks again to the NJEA, they actually gave us the hotel literally right across the street, not even the street, but literally right across the driveway from the convention.
Wow.
Why is that important? Because everybody else had their place of residence for the week at Caesars, which was probably a good half a mile down on the beach.
Oh, geez.
So I will say, because of the Edu triplets, NJEA was awesome enough to give us a spot right across so that my wife didn't have to go very far.
That's really nice.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
And so 1 o'clock, she wasn't feeling too well, and so she went across to the hotel, and I was doing my thing, having a good time. And then 5 o'clock, it was the only thing I've been thinking about for the last 4 months or so is that scene with Ricky and Lucy, where Lucy comes out and says, the time has come, and then everybody, Fred and Ethel kind of run into each other. So, 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, I was doing WordPress, and at 5 o'clock, I kind of get this text of, we need to go.
So what went through your head at that point?
I've got a lot of electronics in front of me.
That's a good, honest truth there.
How do I get all this stuff out? Because you don't know what's going on.
Right.
And so it was just, I have to clean up the electronics. I knew I was right across the street, but, you don't want to leave your laptops and your computers and your cameras. And so...
Did you have any idea that what happened was what was coming?
I don't think at 25 weeks you could ever think that.
Yeah, right. That makes sense.
And so I cleaned up. I threw stuff underneath the table. I got everything kind of neatly organized because, again, security purposes, and it's my stuff.
Sure.
You are talking about probably $4,000 to $5,000 worth of equipment. So that's kind of there.
Right.
So 5 o'clock, 5:30 or so, I showed up at the hotel, and I remember going into the hotel first and asking, do you guys have a medical staff? And of course they said no. Now, again, thank goodness it was a 10-minute walk really from the convention floor upstairs to where we were.
Right.
And Immediately I called 911, and ambulance showed up, and it was one of those, it was the longest 10 minutes of your life.
Yeah, sure.
And paramedics showed up, and they gave you no options. It's time to go. And we did. And I'm going to kind of spare some story here because of the sensitivity of everything.
Yeah,
but we happened to get to the hospital right when it was shift changing time, which meant they had all the doctors ready. And next thing I know, I'm an edu-daddy. And really, really cool. The staff couldn't have been better. The staff was used to it. They had a multiples unit. The NICU staff was all... I haven't met anybody at that place that hasn't been working on NICU babies for 25 years plus.
My gosh.
We were in a very lucky spot. And so we didn't know what to do. We're still calling them baby A, B, and C. And so at that point, we were like, okay, we're parents.
So how much time had elapsed from you getting there until that happening?
I got to the hotel around 5:20. And 7:39 was when the first one popped out.
Oh my gosh.
And everything else in the middle was just, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah.
And so, but I got to give it to her. She's around, she's listening, but what a trooper. And I'm a very happy guy. I'm a very, very lucky guy. And if you are interested in learning more about the story or learning how to figure out some things, I will share with you right here. If you go to baby.teachercast.net, and I'm pulling it up here because people always ask silly questions like, what can we do? How do we help? Baby.teachercast.net. You can not only call this a shameless plug for baby registry, but you can also check out some of the Edu triplet facts. I have our names up here. I have our weight. I have their spy names, in fact, and you can even follow them on Twitter. They are officially 145 Twitter followers, which is almost as many as their mother has. Yeah, you heard me. And there's up here, it says stay updated is one of the links here. And, basically we decided that it's really impossible to do Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and text message individually and. So
Sure.
Through the use of Remind 101, which is a free service, and I love it, we have set up a Remind 101 account, and anybody who wants to learn about the baby updates, both good and bad, I will warn you on that. We've been actually using that. They're up to about 101 Remind 101 followers. So I think when you add the Twitter and the Remind 101, they still have more than their mother.
Got to get your digs in there, right?
It's been a fun 10 days. And so so there we were at 8 o'clock, basically, with A, B, and C, and then we get the news that every parent doesn't want to hear on their kid's birthday, which is your son has a lung problem. And so luckily they tried something where they actually tried to put and I'm going to use medical terms here, they put a straw into the side of him, and that didn't work. And so luckily these doctors were amazing, and they didn't want to be heroes. They actually said, all right, we're going to call for help. And so they just happened to be sister hospitals with DuPont.
Okay.
Dumb luck, right?
Yeah, right.
So they asked the silly question, like, would you like to have us send your child by helicopter to Delaware to get his problem fixed? And of course we said yes. And within, I would say, an hour, a SWAT team came and packed up my baby, Christopher. Actually, it was baby B at the time. We didn't name him until they were ready to go because we kind of figured we don't want to send baby B out in the ocean.
Right.
So we came up with names, and baby A is Robert Burke, baby B is Christopher Anthony, and baby C is Sarah Elizabeth. And
Good names.
we talk about things like digital natives, right? And what is a digital natives? We say, well, our kids are digital natives. They're growing up on Facebook. Well, I got to tell you, and everything that I've said in the past on this show and others on parenting and pictures and stuff like that, I've kind of changed my mind a little bit.
Okay.
My babies have already FaceTimed across the world.
Yeah.
Just by they're all in incubators, and I'll show you some pictures here. They're doing fine. They're all in incubators, but by having FaceTime and by having wireless, they've been able to, like my dad in Florida has been able to look at them on video, and my cousins in California have been able to look at them, and so it's been quite amazing how they have more Twitter followers than their mother. And they have this Remind 101 account that has more followers than TeacherCast has, and they've already been FaceTimed all around the world. It is quite amazing. And by the way, their blog last week from Thursday to Saturday had about 6,000 hits, which is more than TeacherCast had.
That's
so
crazy.
Their blog is higher than TeacherCast. Their Remind 101 is higher than TeacherCast. These kids are going to get grounded when they get home. So, would anybody like to see pictures out there? I don't know if this is the time to share pictures, but let me show you some pictures. Now I'm going to warn you guys out there. Pictures are good. Pictures are bad. They're very young. I'm just going to say this out loud and openly here. They're very young, and so it'll help out for you to share what's going on in each of the pictures too. Give us a better idea of what stages we're at in the whole process. I certainly can. One of the best things that they let me do the other day was to actually pick up Sarah, and they were born at 25 weeks. That means that they're 15 weeks premature, and so when can we get them back? I don't know. That's the hard part. Is I might get one in January. I might get one in February. I might not get any of them until March. I don't know. They've actually already gone through a few surgeries. But I'll show you, starting here with pictures. Are you here to get more Twitter followers? No. Jen just pops in, as you can see her there. So let me show some pictures here. I don't know. Do we want to see pictures? Oh.
Yeah, people have been saying yes.
So this is one of my favorite pictures. This is Jen and I actually got a chance to hold Sarah. And as you can see here, she does have I don't know what the technical terms are, but she has a breathing apparatus up her nose, which is good. That means that she's breathing on her own. They're just assisting with her breathing. And I would say out of everything that I've taken, and I've taken about 3 hours of video, it's got to be one of the nicest pictures possible. Here's mommy with baby Sarah, and so we had some fun with this. Now I will tell you that I'm trying to be a wonderful father already, but I do have some pictures where I don't know who my kids are, because they all kind of look the same, and that's only because they all have is it apparatus or apparatuses or apparati? Apparati. They have crap all over them. And so, you can tell her skin's kind of bruised, which is from all the tape, I guess you could say, or the adhesive stuff.
Okay.
But, the little suckers sleep exactly like me. They don't like sleeping on their back. They like sleeping on their tummies. They like sleeping with one arm up. They like kind of being cuddled here. So...
That's cool.
This is Robert's little birth card, and I still had some ISTE tags left over, so I put some Rockstar stuff on there. But here's Jen in Robert's incubator, and here's the cool part. I don't know how much you guys make out there in the world, or how much of a salary you guys have, but these little incubators are $35,000 each.
Oh my gosh.
And so when they say that your baby's in the Mercedes of stuff, I have 3 Mercedes right now. And we also found out that the helicopter ride cost about $1,900. So we're slowly seeing how wonderful insurance is.
Yes.
So here's Robert and his little baby feet. This is Sarah, I believe, sleeping exactly the way I would sleep. One arm up.
Spoiled out.
Yeah, all kind of spoiled out there. It's hard because we have two different hospitals that we're working with.
Yeah, that's got to be really tough. How do you determine where you're going?
That's a very difficult thing to do. Here's a very wonderful, yet, this is the reality that we're dealing with right now.
Right.
One day we're going to one hospital, one day we're going to another hospital.
Yeah. It's just the nature of it, huh?
And so this is one of their diapers. And and not to be a little, it kind of looks like a pad, which it is, but it's a very, very tiny diaper. I'm told that they get bigger as the kids move on, by the way. So I'm told that as the need for a bigger diaper happens, so will the diaper will get bigger.
Well, that's an important realization to have.
Yeah, well, there is something to having 3 babies and they're all babysat for it. I don't have to pay for it. I'm learning this. I have
There you go.
3 babies and I don't have to change diapers. This is exactly what I want it to. So here's Sarah sporting her baby EdChat hashtag, by the way. So if you're following the babies, they're at baby EdChat is their hashtag, the official hashtag, by the way, of the Edu triplets. And you can see that she's also sporting up her website, baby.teachercast.net.
Very nice.
Not gonna bore everybody with all of these pictures here. But you can kind of see, I'll flip through these a little bit, but they have so much work to do in the next couple weeks. And
Sure.
Officially right now, here's a picture of Jen FaceTiming with them. So Jen was in Atlantic City at a hospital, and I was in Delaware with Christopher. So that was like the first time that Mom got a chance to see Christopher, really.
Gotcha. Wow, that's crazy.
Because of course Jen was still in bed when the helicopter went away. So let me see if I can flip through a couple of these, but they did start to open their eyes.
That's awesome.
Which was really, really, that's obviously a big step for these little ones.
Yep.
When they come out at 23 weeks, not good. When they come out at 25 weeks, they can fine. So we're at 27 weeks as of yesterday, and let's see if I can flip through a couple of these other ones here. Here's Sarah's little footprints. But yeah, I've already considered trying to figure out what the graphic is for doing Daddy Cast, but
you have some good stories, that's for sure.
We're gonna have some really good stories, and so they're all. Let's see if I can find any more good ones here, but they're doing okay. Everyone says, how are they doing? And I will say that they're doing okay, but they've already had a few transfusions. Like any normal baby, they have this little heart murmur problem. I don't know if I can show this picture or not. I kind of feel weird because my kids aren't clothed. But that's how small they were at the beginning.
Wow. That's crazy.
Very, very tiny.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going back in time. But you can kind of see their feet, and they're mine. This is an awesome picture right here. I just got to say, speaking of PLNs, this is the contraption that took my baby away. And
that's crazy.
And I don't want to know how much that one cost. But literally, I mean, they have a helicopter that has an ambulance inside of it, if you want to look at it that way. Everything that can support and sustain life is right there. Question, what is the purpose of the blue lights? The blue lights is to help the skin heal. And so because their skin is very frail, whenever you touch them, you just put your hand on them. You don't stroke them or tickle them in that kind of emotion. You just kind of put your hand on them, because if not, you don't want to oversensitize or overstimulate them. I will tell you, Jamie, that the addition of a peach cobbler in their bed would work out really well. Okay, Jamie? That's a hint. So, yeah, this team of doctors came in, and one was really, really tall, but they completely packaged up Christopher and took him away. And because of that, my baby is now safe and healthy to the point that he can be healthy. And that was what Christopher looked like on the first couple hours of his life, all packaged up. And 3:30 in the morning on Friday, that's how they took him away.
Pretty amazing.
So I know, Jeff, I've been sending you guys a lot of pictures and things, and I can't do pictures on Remind 101, but I'll kind of go through some of these other ones here. But yeah,
it's been great. Staying updated on it, that's for sure.
Here's one of my other favorite pictures, and I'll leave you at this one, but I don't know if you can see this.
Is that a ring?
This is Sarah holding my wedding ring.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if you can kind of figure out how small her fingers are,
Just tiny.
that's
insane.
very, very tiny right there.
Wow.
And I've said it before, I'll say it again. All of these pictures are brought to you by Apple, because with iCloud and with all this other technology that we have, I can easily take a picture, upload it, and then anybody can see it. And we're able to share so much that, that's been going on very, very quickly. And so, yeah, it's just,
Phenomenal.
it's kind of amazing. Just even sitting here, I know this is like the look on my face, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, is this happening to me?
Is this
kind
really
of
happening?
right.
Yeah.
I was just broadcasting yesterday, and of course, while this was all happening, I was trying to figure out how can I get back to the convention to broadcast further the next day.
So you can't stop thinking about it, can you?
I have a public, obviously. I mean, look, I've got Peggy and Jamie and Kay and Craig and Craig and Craig and more Craig. But we'll kind of throw some more pictures back around here. But yeah, this has been the last 10 days for us. And I don't know what else to say, but I'm very, very lucky. I've got 3 wonderful kids. They're going to kill me one day, but I'm very, very lucky. And it's kind of funny. This was the last ultrasound picture that we had of Sarah.
Wow.
And that's one of those 4D pictures. And yes, that's an arm and a foot. But it went from that to that very, very quickly. Well, that's not Sarah, because he's wearing blue. But you get the idea.
I get the idea.
And I did take a close up of Chris and a close up of Robert, and they do look similar at this point.
I imagine so.
I like the part that they all have blue eyes, but everybody tells me that that's quickly going to end. So I don't know. My dad had blue eyes. My mother didn't. We'll see what happens here. So they might be the first babies to have contacts. I'm not sure. So
I got to say something, Jeff, though, being kind of kept in the loop on this all the way through the extreme beginning to now. Your attitude towards this has just been phenomenal. I mean, every update we've gotten, and a lot of people could get discouraged by everything that you've been through over the past 10 days, but it's a true testament to who you are to be able to keep such an even, cool, and positive mentality throughout this whole thing, and that's really cool. So just got to say that, because it's been refreshing to see you just be in it and roll with the punches and be positive about the good and even positive about the bad, knowing that there's something to be done for each thing.
Well, that's because I know that at the end of this, I'm going to be in Atlanta in June getting peach cobbler from Jamie's house.
Yeah, absolutely.
But seriously, it's not a day goes by that when the phone rings, my heart doesn't drop.
Sure.
Every day we get updates. Every day we've been down there. Today we had a baby-free day because we needed it. And when they say on the 7th day he rested, I needed to rest today. So yeah, it's been fun. And but we're here today to talk really about PLNs, and the second part of that is, okay, all my stuff's down in Atlantic City, so is my car.
Right.
What happens? How do I do all this? I'm stuck here for the next couple days. There's 10,000 strangers walking by all my stuff, and we have this hashtag that runs around, which is NJED, New Jersey Educators, and yes, a hashtag is a Twitter chat. It's a stream of consciousness. It's a bunch of blogs from people, whether it be serious blogs or jokingly things. But really, when it comes time to talk about things like a personal learning network, it really is amazing. My phone, one of the things they told us at the hospital when we left is take a phone charger. Who has time for that when their wife is being carted out on an ambulance stretcher?
Right.
So I didn't. And of course, what do you do when you're in the ambulance? You play Angry Birds. And so for the hour or so that we were, of course, right. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, like, can I Ustream this? But no, there wasn't a broadcast of the event. And if you want to hear that story, I will actually be giving that story via PayPal. I have 3 colleges to pay for now. So, sorry, Craig. So yeah, I called up Billy and Dana and my 2 Ed Camp, New Jersey buddies. And first of all, I want to stop right here and say thank you, friends, family, for watching tonight. Not an easy show to go through. Usually when you're watching Tech Educator, I'm the one that does the least amount of talking. So babies equal viewers, apparently. But yeah, I called up Billy and Dana and said, here's my problem. I'm not coming back. And they said, don't worry about it. Sit down. Don't do anything. Just let us handle this. And I said, okay, you're going to clean up everything? And they said, yes. I said, here's my problem. I have my car keys and the room key. So a good friend of ours, and everybody knows him, Kevin Jarrett from Ed Camp and Pad Camp and awesome stuff, drove 20 miles up to the hospital, met me when I was frantically trying to figure out how to put a hospital scrub on, grabbed my keys, and took my keys away. So imagine where I am right now. My wife is in labor, and I just gave some guy my car keys. But, yeah.
At that point, you would have given him your house keys.
Well, I did give him my house keys, actually. I gave him the keys to my office, too, at school, but, we weren't thinking that. But, yeah. But yeah, between Dana and Kevin and Billy and Melissa and Alyssa and really everybody at NJ Ed, they cleaned up my booth. They made sure everything was packed. They went into my hotel room and cleaned up everything, all the goodness and the badness, because we all know when you go in a hotel, you're not necessarily the most neatest person, but they cleaned up everything. And the next day, I guess I have to do an Ed Camp session on how to drive a Prius, because when you drive a Prius and you stop, the car drops down. And for whatever reason, they kept, I don't want to know what they did, but yeah, they got my Prius up to me and they dropped off everything and were wonderful. And I've said thank you so many times, but I'll have an official chance to say hello to them next week at Ed Camp NJ, which, by the way, is going to be live with Classroom 2.0 next week. And so, yeah, I don't know if you've experienced this one, Jeff, but having a strong PLN in the time of an emergency. I mean, A, having people there to clean up your stuff. B, drop off your car. C, I'll even go to you guys. I mean, just having you, Sam, and John be around when I needed somebody just to vent to or to shout pictures at or any of those things. It was an enormous help. And so I'm very, very grateful to everybody. And, the only thing on my mind last week was I have to get back to broadcasting. Craig Yen is needing me. And I knew that at some point Craig Yen would have a lull in his broadcasting day of not having a teacher cast show to watch. And it was really rewarding when Craig basically said, don't worry, you're not here. I've got something better to do. And I got to tell you, that made me feel wonderful.
Oh, Craig, always good.
And so I think Craig wants a peach cobbler too, by the way, Jamie. But
who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Peach cobbler for all.
There's another baby picture. So babies equal ratings.
That's really cool, Jeff. I mean,
it's really amazing. PLNs have nothing to do with iPads. PLNs have nothing to do with webs and any of that stuff. PLNs have everything to do with just who do you trust, who do you go to, who's there to lean on, who's there to support, who's there to tell you when you're wrong.
I mean, that makes it's a good transition into how would you get to that point for those people that are just getting started and starting to build their PLN, whether they're considering it their professional learning network right now or their personal learning network. How do you build a PLN that you can ultimately trust, like you've become able to trust yours?
Well, it takes a long conversation with your wife that starts off with, I'd like to have triplets.
You can always expect the first response from Jeff Bradbury to be something ridiculous.
Once you wake up from getting knocked out. No, I you know what? I don't know. When we all start out on Twitter, everybody has the question of how do I get 10,000 followers? How do I get to be the next Jerry? How do I get to, you do all that stuff.
Right.
And some people take the route, and look, I'm not making light of this because I love the guy, but some people take the route of Craig Yen. Every single chat you're a part of, every single show you're there, you're a part of, you're supporting, you're doing all these things, you're following the hashtags. Some people take the route, and that's awesome, and we need that. And some people like you and I start shows, and that this is how I've decided to build a following. Is I'm building a platform for others to share their stories on. Right. I never realized at the time what I was actually building was a place for me to share my own story now. I've done 300 or so audio video podcasts combined. I really have not ever, except for the first one, sat down and told any of my stories about things.
Sure.
So that's kind of why I'm sitting here nervous. But that's, everybody does it differently. Some people have Google Hangout parties. Some people join a hashtag. Some people start a hashtag. Some people, I don't know. I don't know. Some people moderate global ed cons, which by the way is coming up soon. Some people do all these different things, and it's really, really amazing when you turn around and it isn't about, look, I'm thrilled to death at the fact that if I look right now, TeacherCast now has 9,892 followers. We're going to have a party, Jeff, when I hit 10,000.
Perfect.
Let's
do it.
But it really is about those 12, those 15 that you can sit there and call on and say, hey, I need something. And they're like, what do we want?
Well, and Jamie's right. I mean, she said it in the chat just now. It gets to the point where they're not your PLN, they're your friends. And I mean, that's exactly right.
Well, no. Like, I'm gonna respond to that one. Jamie, friends go up and do karaoke with other friends in San Antonio. Some people didn't want to do karaoke. I'm gonna leave it at that.
So good. Way to call her out, man.
Hey, you got me on a roll here, but it really is amazing of what's happened in the last 10 weeks. Now, look, I'll throw some more stuff out there. We have possibility of 3 little baby heart problems. We have the possibility of all of these wonderful, horrible things going on. So,
So Jeff, how does that, I mean, what have they told you? Are you on a day-to-day,
Yes.
or are they saying by X date you should know this, and by X date you should know this?
We're still allowed to look at the baby books and say at 26 weeks they should be at this stage.
Okay.
And with their eyes opening up, we were there.
Yeah.
That being said, they're in what they call a hostile environment, which is outside.
Sure.
And so things do happen and things don't happen. I don't have any answers to why they came early. Nobody does. What I do know is Christopher had a problem and he needed it fixed. And maybe that's why somebody up above said, get them out of there and get them the care that they need. And, I always had this fear of being 80 miles away at school. Again, I'll go back to, we could have had a hotel at Caesar's Palace a half a mile away, and there could have been an incident in the middle of all of that I wouldn't have been aware of.
Sure.
That she could have called and said it was time to go at the beginning of my WordPress course. I mean, really, anything could have happened. So we're very lucky. Yes, to answer your question, we are on day-to-day basis. We can call them anytime. We can have guests come in. And the cool part is because we have 3 of them, we can have more than one guest come in. So, but yes, we can call them anytime. And in fact, maybe we should call them during a show one of these days.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Bring them in.
But at the same time, they call us every day. And that's awesome. And they should.
Yep.
I hate the phone calls that say we need your consent for. I hate those phone calls, and you're always afraid when the phone does ring that something's going to be different than it is. But we all we ask is start the conversation with things are good. Now here's what's going on, because it is quite a long phone call trying to go through all these medical terms that you're starting to get used to.
Right.
And then they end with, but this is common for babies. It's common for babies to have a heart murmur, which it is. But this isn't part of my vocabulary when you're a new father. So
Right.
all of these things are, of course, very, very high stress. And the only thing that I can do to help out my stress is to broadcast or to Remind 101 or to go to Ed Camp or to you name it. It is kind of therapeutic having the baby Ed Camp or the Edu Triplets account because, you're kind of their voice and they need to be heard too.
Yep.
And said, I know, Craig, I can call you anytime too. So, but yeah, it's, and they should be that way. We can call them anytime and ask questions. They will be there completely to ask and to answer questions that we need to, because they want to know that we know what's going on. And so, we're very lucky that we have two things. The questions come up of, well, when will they come home? I don't know. Again, my thought is Sarah's going to come home in January. Just because.
And why do you think that?
Because by nature, females grow faster.
Okay.
Insert laughter here, Jamie. But yeah, by nature, they grow faster, and so when you just look at a picture like this, she's got great color, and she's doing her thing. And then you look at this picture here versus this picture when her eyes are open. Here's a cool part, and this is I didn't realize this, but if you look at your eyeballs, you have veins running in the front of your eyeballs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their eyes don't have that yet because it hasn't been developed.
That's crazy.
So when you look at a picture like this, I know it's hard to see, but they don't have veins in their eyes yet because the veins haven't grown around their eyeballs. Now, the problem with that is you have to make sure that the veins grow on the eyeballs and not make a detour.
Okay. How do you manage that?
You keep them where they are, and you have an eye doctor make sure that they're watching them.
Gotcha.
So there's a very high risk for eye problems. But again, this is normal. They're not supposed to have this. But they're also not supposed to be opening their eyes at 25 weeks and seeing sunlight or, anything.
Right. So, I mean, with all these unknowns, Peggy brings up a good question. Do you have a preemie support group of parents that you've been able to keep in touch with or start talking to get more perspective?
Well, Craig has been wonderful.
Okay.
Jen has been on top of that, doing the Moms for Multiples groups and things like that. I have not reached out to anybody other than you wonderful people here.
Gotcha.
And so that's my support group. When I hear stories from people like, my kid was born at 27 weeks and he's just graduated high school.
Right.
And then my next question is he normal? And I use that term openly, but I need to hear those kinds of stories.
Sure.
They did have a meeting with us where they sat us down and they said, your kids are perfect. Meaning at this common time, there are no dysfunctions, disabilities, disables, diseases, one of those kind of things.
Uh-huh.
So that I said, did you take a genetic test? No, it's too early for that. But as far as having, you name the syndrome, clear.
That's awesome. That's positive.
We're very, very lucky. And I look forward again to being at Ed Camp next week to see people like Kate and who is out there listening. And so thanks, Jamie. But yeah, I'm very, very lucky to have the support group that I do. In essence, I will have to say that having babies had nothing to do with TeacherCast. But by having TeacherCast and by being on November 7th by being at the convention, TeacherCast, I will completely give credit for saving my kids. Because God knows where I would have been on November 7th if I didn't have the convention. I could have been we could have been anywhere. We could have been at home, and had this happen, we could have been anywhere. But because I was broadcasting that day, again, I just have to believe everything happens for a reason. Because of all of that stuff, we were lucky. And so, had I not had the support from you guys, I wouldn't have had the courage to go out into the teachers union and say, I want to broadcast. So it is very much the I'm going to keep saying it, the Peggies and the Craigs and everybody else out there who's watching this show to give you the support that I could have been anywhere on November 7th.
Sure.
And so you never know what happens, and you never know what you have, and you never know what you're building. And I mean, you've had it too with Instructional Tech Talk. You've had access to so much wonderful stuff coming at your way just because you do I'm going to say a little podcast, and or because you write a blog, or because you have a beard, or anything like that. I will can I run some commercials?
Absolutely. Remind
101 is awesome. If you're not getting your kids on it, it's awesome. In a time of an emergency, it's awesome. TechSmith. If you're not following TechSmith or trying out things like Camtasia or Jing or any of those things, TechSmith sent us a $100 gift certificate to a steak joint for dinner because they're awesome, and they support.
That's really nice.
I support them. They support me. It's not a TeacherCast thing. It's that ed company said this educator needs to be helped, and so they sent us a little gift certificate. That was awesome. Kid Blog sent us some T-shirts, and again, these are companies that through TeacherCast I have personal relationships with, so it's not really any of that stuff. But these companies out there really, again, this is all part of your PLN. I know people out there, and Kate's watching, she's got good ties with Edmodo. You never know when you need these people, and you never know when you need to run into these things. And so I'm missing a few. I know I'm missing a few. But yeah, it's been amazing from the ed tech community, and it's also been amazing from the human community as well.
Yeah, that's really amazing. That's so great that people are able to, recognize a need and rally behind it and reach out to you. That's a great thing.
And of course, if you're interested in contributing to the Baby Fund, we have our baby registry. You can check out Babies R Us registry, Bye Bye Baby, or Amazon.com, which isn't quite there yet. We one of the things that we still need to do is to go to our Amazon registry and update that. But we're coming.
What about live binders?
Live binders, yes. Live binders, I were you just prompted for that?
No.
Live binders, I will say, sent us a $150 gift card to the babies through Babies R Us.
That's so cool.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, Tina and Barbara are great friends. We've met several times. They've done several shows. They know I support them constantly, but yeah, Live binders was absolutely great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was looking through your old texts to me because I remember you said something.
and yeah, Jerry does have a page for multiples, and I don't know if that's my fault, but yeah, it's really awesome. I mean, I can go on, and I'm not here to plug my friends, but if you look at the 101 people that are on the Remind 101 list, you could just count the Twitter followers. I mean,
right.
You name it, from the most recent ISTE keynote speakers to the people who now have 100 and some thousand Twitter followers.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And Craig is on there too. So, but you know what? That's my story. And if you haven't started your PLN out there, maybe you're checking out TeacherCast or Tech Educator or Instructional Tech Talk for the first time, and definitely, reach out, start a PLN. It doesn't matter if they're in Chicago or if they're in your backyard. So Definitely.
If you came across this tonight and you're not on Twitter yet, which would be amazing, definitely check out ways to get involved and ways to be able to grow your PLN. We have a website that we started up called learnontwitter.com, and it'll give you the step-by-step instructions on how to get on Twitter, what Twitter is, and then give you some suggestions on people that you can use to start building your PLN too. So it's a great resource and definitely a good place to get started.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm certainly glad to see so many people here in response to the babies. Please come back. We're here every single Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific for the Tech Educator. Not sure what we're going to be talking about next week, Jeff, or we're going to get back into coding or not. But yeah, definitely check us out. We are here each and every week helping you guys out. Jeff, what do you have going on in your neck of the woods right now?
Well, so Jeff, what I was saying is maybe next week, maybe the week after, depending on how I can round out this segment, I would like to do a show on Apple Configurator with the new iOS release and the new options that it has afforded us to be able to configure all these Apple devices. You can actually configure Apple TVs now as part of Apple Configurator, which is pretty cool. So I think we should definitely have a show. That's something that is commonly requested of me is how to use Configurator and how to get it going. So, I think it's something that we can do maybe in 2 weeks because I want to make sure that we're fully good to go for that.
What is Configurator?
Apple Configurator is a great piece of software that has really grown a lot since iOS 7 release. It's made by Apple, and it's really a mobile device management system to be able to deploy larger amounts of iPads, iPhones, iPod Touches, and now even the Apple TV. We use Apple Configurator in our building to mass prepare carts of iPads and also the iPads that we use for our one-to-one program. You can put on apps. You build basically a model of what you want the iPad to be, and then you can mass build it across multiple iPads. And it just makes it so much easier to set everything up. You can put in network keys in advance. You can restrict access to different apps. You can restrict access to installing apps. You can even make it so that if you have a computer in your classroom running Configurator, you can instantly tell all the computers maybe that are hooked up to the cart that you're going to be using for that period that they can only use a specific app. And so once you turn on the iPad, it will load to that app and it won't let you exit out of it. It won't let you do anything but use that app. And that's really great for either younger grades or even older grades that tend to get a little bit sidetracked from what's going on in the class. So, it's a mobile device management tool to really just give you a little bit more functionality and flexibility in setting up your iOS devices.
So maybe next week we'll talk about some of the new stuff. I know like last week we wanted to talk about the new Apple apps. And they did this weird thing, and they had this app called Bookstore, right? And they actually took the bookshelf out of the bookshelf app, which I thought was odd.
Bizarre. A little bit of an unusual step.
So we're going to get back to being tech educators next week. I'm going to leave you guys with just a few pictures here. Again, for those of you just showing up, that's absolutely my favorite picture of me and my daughter. Now, look, Jeff, I'm going to say one more thing here about being a father. And I mentioned this, unfortunately, I mentioned this in front of the nurses yesterday. But for those of you who've been watching the Tech Educator show, they know that I have an addiction to the Muppets game on iOS. And I actually got myself up to level 20, which that's disappointing. And because I got it to level 20 on each, the iPhone and the iPad, which is a testament to, look, you can play games and drive at the same time. Now,
oh my God.
Since becoming a father, I have not played the Muppets at all. It's actually been a great cure for playing these Muppet games. Now, the downside is that I've taken up playing Deer Hunter.
Oh my God, people have been talking about that a lot.
And so I now have become a sharpshooter and a father of 3 at the same time. It's quite amazing.
And let's just say it that the Tech Educator podcast does not condone gaming and driving. Let's clear all liability here from
No,
us.
but as we can tell from watching Sam Google Hangout the other day from his car, we are perfecting
Oh my
it.
God. That was impressive. I'll give him that much.
We're not condoning it, but we are perfecting it, ladies and gentlemen.
Very true. That's a good way to put it.
And so I want to say thank you guys all out there. Some people out here I have not listened to or I have not spoken to in a long time. So this is an awesome pose. This is, I don't want to give anybody a bad mental picture, but feet are up, arm is up, and staring at each other on his back. That's exactly how I wake up in the morning. It's kind of interesting.
It's like a rock star pose right there.
I think that she would be a good rock star. So yeah, things are good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So anyway, we have a busy week here at TeacherCast. I'm going to be getting out a whole bunch of videos from the convention. I've got to catch up on things like my PLN, my SGOs, my homework, all these different assignments. And so anyway, I will talk to you guys out there later. Please join us at 9:30 tonight. We're going to be having Principal Cast, where they are going to be talking all about the weather. Because when you have a principal from Detroit and a principal from Wisconsin, I guess they had a little bit of a rainstorm tonight. So we will be talking all about that. So Jeff, one more time, where can we find you and learn more about the great stuff that's happening at Apple Configurator Land?
You can always find my work at instructionaltechtalk.com, or you can find me on Twitter at INSTTechTalk. Always willing to connect with you in any of the ways that are listed on my website. Just feel free to drop a line and we can talk about whatever it is that you need help with instructional technology.
Nice. I want to say one more time, thank you guys out there so much. You can find us on Twitter at TechEdShow. You can, of course, always find us on the hashtag TechEducator. Next week, TeacherCast is going to be broadcasting live from the Classroom 2.0 Live with the one, the only, the beautiful Peggy George. And you can, of course, find that at live.classroom20.com. And we're actually going to be doing a simulcast. Peggy's going to be doing her show. I'm going to be doing my show. And we're going to put together this awesome, amazing video. It's going to be EdCamp NJ Visits Classroom 2.0 Live. We're going to be talking all about EdCamps, how to create an unconference, how to build your own PLN, much like what we're doing today. And if you're lucky out there, you'll get more baby pictures. Please check us out, baby.teachercast.net. You can sign up for the Remind 101. I love everybody out there who has signed up. You can sign up through email. You can sign up through text message. Thank you out there so much. We will see you next week. Until that time, please keep up the great work in your classroom and continue inspiring your students. Have a good night, everybody.